Americans don't trust big tech, and for good reason. Data breaches, tracking, monitoring, duping users into providing personal data and then selling it to third parties, and of course, blatant efforts to manipulate information to drive an agenda. Now, the same people who have thrown gasoline on the left's cancel culture bonfire may end up in government agencies that have enormous ability to impact our civil liberties. The National Security Agency is recruiting from big tech, which is shedding thousands of workers amid the inflation and slowing economy. Likely other agencies are following suit. Mark Zuckerberg's Meta is laying off 11,000. Amazon said in January it would eliminate more than 18,000 jobs, and Google's parent company Alphabet was projecting to cut some 12,000 positions. Elon Musk, as we know, is cleaning house at Twitter as well. It could be viewed as a shrewd move by the NSA and other federal agencies to tap talent from big tech. There is no doubt that the warfare of the 21st century is waged with keyboards, perhaps even more than with bombs and missiles. Both China and Russia have expanded their digital espionage and hacking programs, and America needs to counter that threat. I get it. But in a hyper-politicized environment with an ascendant radical left, it's worth asking, who will the government be recruiting? For all the talk about diversity and equity on the left, there can be no doubt that this talent pool doesn't look like America in terms of its core beliefs. At a precarious time for American freedom, pulling from big tech should be treated with a healthy degree of skepticism from conservatives and pro-freedom Americans. You see, there's a big tech philosophy that is evident in the way those companies treat constitutional freedoms, traditional values, and legitimate public discourse. The Twitter files demonstrated that a dangerous symbiotic relationship already exists between far-left government officials and tech companies that have fueled divisiveness and a culture of fear and retribution in this country. A Stanford survey after 2016 showed that of 600 tech leaders and founders, only 14% of them were Republican. And the armies of techies that they have hired have proven to be even more partisan. Google employees gave 94% of their political donations to Democrats in 2021. Twitter bested that number with 99%. In 2022, political giving by employees of Google, Apple, Amazon, and Meta combined went only 15% to Republican candidates. Deeper analysis of political giving shows that a large percentage of big tech givers support the most liberal of candidates, out of step with the vast majority of Americans on a whole range of issues. That means that they likely support massive government expansion, radical social policy, suppression of religious freedom, and an erosion of personal and financial privacy. The driving force behind cancel culture, wokeism, and the lies and cover-ups surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic may become part of an already compromised, untouchable, unaccountable deep state. If you thought the FBI going after parents, pro-life groups, and Catholics was appalling, one can very easily imagine it getting a lot worse if big tech radicals can squirrel away into the federal government. Since the pandemic, the power of big tech has only grown. Just think about how many careers and reputations were destroyed by their censors for countering the government's narrative about COVID-19. Think about the influence these companies had on the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. The crisis of self-censorship that they have helped create in what was supposed to be the digital town square has amounted to an unprecedented suppression of free speech. The federal workforce is already dominated by liberal Democrats, as is the media and academia. If our federal intelligence agencies and law enforcement recruit their next generation from the censors, activists, and content manipulators of big tech, the chances of further erosion of privacy and basic constitutional freedoms may be inevitable. How do we ensure that the intel community recruits workers that are truly committed to the American proposition of freedom? How do we know that left will truly work to protect this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic, without interpreting that to mean conservatives? How do you ensure that someone from the bowels of Meta, who may be a Marxist, isn't given essentially a lifetime appointment to the federal government and access to our most classified information? There are no easy answers to this, folks, but members of Congress and all Americans should demand greater scrutiny of how we intend to keep our intel community and federal law enforcement focused on finding the real bad guys and not declaring war on the Constitution.